there's a few other things I want to ask about before we close here, Dr. Sam. I don't want to forget to ask you about something that you talk about, which is, in my view, where a lot of people struggle. A lot of people will trip and stumble and fall, and it's taking control of your mind and emotions. If I'm paraphrasing that correctly, but you talk about this concept. But can you talk to us about your experience helping people to take control of their emotions and their mind on this journey?
Yeah, I mean, your mental emotional diet again is going to be as important as your physical spiritual one. So first thing I'd say is be careful what you feed your mind. Like, back to technology, people, oh, social media is bad, oh, social media is good. Again, it depends. It's like, what do you want to fill your day up with? You could go on social media and get a whole free education. You could connect with people. You could be looking at things that totally lift you up. So how could that be a bad thing? It probably isn't. But if you're on there just surfing aimlessly, the death scroll, especially like late at night, you're doomed to just
Hmm.
you know program yourself to probably end up being sad or depressed because you're looking at everything else, what everyone else is doing, what everyone else has. You start comparing yourself, then you feel like this big, and you just feel like nothing. And so, like, don't do that. Part of it is it is about conscious choice, but that goes back to even what we're talking about before with why would you want to feed yourself healthy? So you make the right choices. If you're not feeding your body physically healthy, your mind's never going to work healthy. So then how can you make healthy choices? You probably won't. So it's all connected in and of it to itself. You have to feed your mind healthy things. Whether it's books or audio or visual videos or pictures or even being spending time in nature. That's why I wanted to stand outside and do this today. I got the technology out on my deck so that I can be in nature while we're doing this because it's an easier conversation to have.
Hmm.
Everything's flowing. But if I was inside, I probably would be struggling a little bit more of finding my words or knowing what to say. Uh, and the mind and body are connected. So you have these tools, like some of the tools are just opening up again the body's temple. I have a couple of videos on YouTube talking about that, like which points are connected to which emotions, like whether you could use, let's say, one down in your lower ankle, which is called K3, which is a kidney point on that acupuncture channel that is linked to fear, or using the heart 7 point to deal with emotional stuff that's heartfelt or lower anxiety or angst, those kind of things. So there are different points in the body even that you can touch that can create a shift in people's mind state and emotional state. The breath in of itself, I think, is one of the most wonderful tools to learn how to control your emotions. People think like, oh, well, then you're not dealing with your emotions. No, it's actually the opposite. Because what most people do is this: they shut their emotions out. So here's the key to that. Because if I say to someone, well, if you use your mind to try to control your mind, how's that working out for you? Like most people, it doesn't. They just loop. They're just running that loop, and they drive themselves crazy, like day in and day out, and they can't get out of it. But if you bring it back and do a bottom up approach and use the breath, here's how it would work. If I ask someone, how are you feeling right now? They'd say, well, I'm angry. And I'd say, well, no, that's not a feeling. Of course, that's going to piss them off more because they think that I'm discrediting how they feel, their emotion. I said, well, no, that's not a feeling. That's an emotion. Okay, but that's a good start. Okay, you're angry. What do you feel? Well, I don't know. Yes, you do. Sure, you do. Close your eyes right now for me, and now I want you to go within. Tell me where you feel this. Where do you feel this anger?
Hmm.
And like, focus. It's just allow it to be there. And like, okay, fine, Dr. Sam. It's in the pit of my stomach. Okay, great. That's where it is. What does it feel like? They go, what do you mean? I said, just pay attention. It's anger, but what does that feel like to you? And they go, it's tight. It's like this, it's just so tight. I said, okay, that's the feeling. Okay, that is what you have to deal with right now. The emotion is anger, but the feeling is that tightness. So what you do at that point is you bring the awareness of your breath through that part of your body, okay, and you breathe through it. You
Hmm.
just breathe the opposite into that. You breathe looseness or relaxation or light or however you want to say. Whatever makes sense to your brain that's the opposite of tight is what you breathe into that space. And it's amazing how fast this shift can occur for people. I've done this with
Wow.
so many patients that are like, dude, you've done more for me in 2 sessions than like 6 years of psychotherapy. you know and it's not that counseling doesn't work, because it does, but that's a top down approach, and it only
Right.
works so well. The bottom up approach only works so well, and maybe a combination of both is the best for people, but a lot of times I find the breath is just such is again another tool that can just shift people's emotions because they can finally get in touch with their body, and now they're truly have what you call like somatic intelligence. The body starts waking up, and they're not only a body, they're embodied, right? They're embodying what they feel and what they the consciousness that they're carrying with them at that time. And
Hmm.
so that's really the only way to change it, because a lot of things people just operate on this subconscious loop, and that's they're just like a triggered and very habitual, and that has a purpose to a point. But if you're not even aware of what you're carrying with you, how can you deal with it?
Wow. So listen to what Dr. Sam is saying. You are more powerful than your emotions. You can take control over your emotions. Not 100% of the time, right? We're still going to go through these waves and these flows that happen, but you can control your own experience, and there's tools and techniques for this. Dr. Sam, is this the area where you see, because you've literally worked with thousands of patients and clients, and you've seen so many people go through this journey. Is the emotional struggle, is that where people struggle the most, or where do you see a pattern of where people struggle the most to, accomplish their health goals and you know,
I think it's a big piece. Yeah, I mean that said, I think the biopsychosocial piece of health, which is again community and socialization and connection, is probably one of the most underrated and underappreciated. So, an emotional health ties right into this. Like, if you have no passion or purpose, right? What is the point of being alive? Right? I agree with you. What's the point? Why are we all here? You know. On that note, my what I would say is this: like, our the meaning of life is to figure out what your unique, true gift and talent is to share with the world. And then the purpose of life is then to go out and do that. So I'll say that again. The meaning of life is to figure out what your true, unique talent and gift is. You may have more than one, but then the purpose of life is to go out and then do that.
hmm,
But that's part of this journey is like when people wake up, they find all these talents they never even knew they had. They can sing, they can write, they can do this, they can do that. It's an amazing thing. But yeah, I think the emotional piece is huge. Um, if you look at the core issue that a lot of that even the psych field talks about, someone like a Marissa Peer, who's out there doing wonderful things in the world, she talks about this core issue. You're not enough. Like most people don't think they're enough, and she started
okay,
that
like a
trend.
like a feeling of inadequacy.
Yeah. And part of that is because somewhere along the line,
Parents.
it got in there. Yeah. It could be a well meaning parent, but still something was said that was a little like, you sure you want to say that? A coach, an ex girlfriend, boyfriend, somebody got in your head and you believed it for some reason. And that's why it's so important to have, tools and skills to literally strip down our emotional body and our physical body and deal with these things. Like, I encourage people to feel their feelings. I don't want you to run from it. I want you to feel it. I want you to feel it because that's how you move through it. And what people happen, it's like any other thing. When you practice these skills and you practice like having a healthier emotional diet, yeah, it does get easier. And yes, you're going to get pissed off. That's okay. Like, Zen people aren't always happy and like, oh, everything's great. Everything's not always great. It's just not. And that's okay. And it's okay to get worked up sometimes. But how fast can you recover is really the key. It's really about resilience. It's like, hey, I might get over here, but then all of a sudden I'm just back. I'm Zen again. And I, if I lose it now and then, I laugh. I do laugh at myself. Like, all right, man, you done? You done having your little fit? Are we good now? Can we move on with our day? I just start laughing at myself. Like, yeah, that was a good one, huh? It just really like snapped. And but I've learned that like, yeah, I know there's progress because like where I might feel those emotions don't it's not there anymore. I used to get this like if I got really pissed off, literally feel it run like over my head, down the side of my into my groin and get lodged there. And then literally you go, oh, what a pain in the you know what, and it's like, yeah, there's a reason that expression exists. Like it's like, wow, that's very real. That became very real to me. Like, whoa, dude, you need to put a check on this because if you're harboring that kind of stuff, you're just beating up yourself. And when we learn to really feel our emotions, we can we can really then transmute and transform them. But it's not about not feeling them at all. It's about feeling them. That's why I think the breath is one of the tools that allows people to finally do that. That's why people cry a lot during breathwork sessions, or they start laughing, and they're like, "Oh my God, this weight's lifted off my chest for the first time. I can actually feel my body. I'm not numb."
Hmm. Wow. Wow. We're talking with Dr. Sam Milkarski. What in closing, Dr. Sam, I want to ask you. We're very excited to have Dr. Sam come speak at Texas Fruit Festival. If you don't know Dr. Sam, this is a person with a ton of resources. He made a deal with God or with the universe or whatever you want to call it, right? That if he could be healed and transformed, that he would pay it forward and help others, and he's making good on that deal. And there's a lot of resources that you can go and find. He has a free ebook. He has a free master course. drsampt.com. You can hear him speak at events like Texas Fruit Festival.